Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. So today we are going to play with some watercolors. I have 7 cards that I need to make. I belong to a little Happy Mail group. There are 7 or 8 of us total. Every other month we pick a theme, and some months instead of doing a theme we'll say it's Sender's Choice, and this is a Sender's Choice month, so I decided I wanted to watercolor a little bit. So the watercolor paints, I don't remember the name of them. I'll link them below. It's a set that my husband got me for Christmas so that I could learn how to watercolor. The paper came from Amazon. It's a no-name brand. So what I'm going to do here just to start is I'm going to water down my watercolors just to get them a little bit juicy. Is that what you call it for watercolor? Then I'm going to heavily saturate my paper. Now, because I have 7 of these to do, I decided I was going to do them all in my friend's favorite colors. So that little Post-it note over there, that pink sheet, is the favorite colors of the people that I'm making these for. And each card will be a couple of their favorite colors. So with there being 7 of these, I'm going to try to come up with 7 different ways to paint watercolors on these panels. So we'll see how it goes. I am planning on doing 2 panels per person because of the cards that I'm planning to make. So one will be where I actually apply the paint to the paper, and then the other panel that will go with that card will be the watercolor paper smooshed into the paint that's left over on the mat. And each of these will kind of follow that same format, and I am going to show you all 7 of these. And they're all going to be just a little bit different. They will be different in color and different in technique. So so this is the first one. Okay, so we're going to ink smoosh this now, and then I'm going to dry these as I go. That way I can layer up my watercolor a little bit, and that just gives it a little bit more interest. Okay, now we're moving on to the second one. And this one, as soon as I watered this down, my paper bowed, which was interesting. So I'm holding that down with my fingers just so I can try to get some of the color on here. And the purple and green, that was an easy one. I like purple and green together. So now we're going to smoosh this into the mat, and we're going to try to not make mud. Purple and green don't mix very well together. So you got to be real careful when you do this, which is why I'm drying it in between so it doesn't get too messy. And for the third one, I decided to just lay down drops of color instead of actually painting big sections like I did in the last one. And I had trouble with the paper bowing on this one, but it was pretty heavily saturated. But I continued on with the dots, and that's just how I decided to do this one, so it's a little different. And now I'm going to add some more of the red into the mat so that I can smoosh both the red and the blue. And as with the others, we're just going to smoosh it and dry it, smoosh it and dry it. There wasn't a rhyme or reason for how these came out. I just was trying to come up with different ways to do them so they wouldn't all look the same. And now on to the next one, and as with the other ones, I just heavily saturated the paper, and this one I decided to splatter. This turned out to be a mistake, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't have a splat box or a splatter box or something to do splatter in, and I will tell you that I just went ahead and did it. So doing splatter without a splat box or something to contain the splatter is not something that I would recommend that you do, so I wouldn't follow my lead on this. This made a huge mess, but you know, the panels turned out really nice, and I was really happy with it, and I do come back and splatter some more without a box. Don't follow my lead on that if you don't want to have to clean up a mess. So on this one, I decided to saturate the paper again, and I wanted to try to get the colors to run down this instead of me forcing the colors around and to mix with the paintbrush. So I did a combination of things. I sprayed this and kept adding water and kept adding paint and kept adding more water. And at some point here, I'm going to actually smoosh this one. I guess we're going to dry this first. There we go. Now we're going to smoosh this. And I was just trying to get more color onto it because the more water I added, the more desaturated the colors got. It got really, really light. And when this was all done, I kind of thought this one looked like it had been colored with crayons, which was interesting. It had a really interesting effect to it. So now we're going to finish off the second panel for this card. And we're just going to smoosh some more. And there we go with some more splatter. Boy, did I have a mess to clean up at the end of all this. But you know what? It was great fun. It was totally worth doing all the splattering. So we're just going to continue on. Okay, and then the last one. I think this is the last one. Is this number 7? I'm not quite sure. So this one, I decided to go ahead and splatter this one and drop the paint onto it. And I was running out of ideas, really, for what to do with the watercolor so that it wouldn't come out looking like all the other panels. So we're going to splatter this one up and just drop some more paint on here and just fuss around with it. And all of the panels did come out looking a little differently. So we're just going to leave that one how it is. And I like the way that this one came out. It was a combination of darks and lights. And there we go with that splatter again. Splatter is such a mess. But it was fun. It was totally fun, but I do highly recommend that you have a box to do it in because you will have a mess to clean up if you don't. Full disclosure, by the time that I was all done with all 7 of these panels, and I had to clear everything off my desk to clean up, and then things that I had to move off my desk to clean everything, I also had to wipe that stuff down. I had splatter a good 2 and 3 feet away from where I was working. It was messy, but totally worth it. 100% totally worth it. Okay, so apparently that wasn't the last one. I think we've actually got 2 more to go here. So this one, just working around the colors. Some of the color combinations that my friends like are really interesting. I think all of them turned out to be really pretty cards. There weren't any where the colors that they picked for their favorite colors made mud, which was great, which means that all of my friends who are also all card makers understand the color wheel, which is fantastic. These were a lot of fun to make. Okay, so I was wrong. That was the last panel. So here are all of the panels that I just watercolored. And now we'll start to make this card. The stamp and die set that I'm going to use is actually 2 parts. I'm not going to use the stamps, but this is Concord and Nines triple step high stamp set and dies. And then I'm also going to use Honeybee Stamps scalloped rectangles. If these products are still available, I'll put links in the description below for them in case you'd like to pick them up. So each card is going to actually use 3 panels. They will have a white panel that the high is going to be cut out of. The high will also be cut out of one of the watercolor panels. And then the scallop die is going to be used to cut out the 3rd panel. I think we're going to start with that scallop die though. I'm not going to bore you with showing you the die cutting of every single panel because it's the same for each set of cards. So there's the die cutting of the scallops. And then now we're going to do the die cutting of one of the highs. And now I did this for every panel. So the rectangle, the scalloped rectangle, I cut out of the main watercolor panel that I did for each of them that has the smoother colors. And then the high was cut out of the ones that were splattered or ink smooshed. And I did that for each of the cards. And then each of the cards also had a high cut out of the white cardstock. And that was so that I could do some paper piecing. And then this was the cutting out of the white panels for each of them. So each of the highs was die cut in white and placed on top of the first panel that I did for everybody. That was the smoother colors. And the second panel where I ink smooshed all of the colors, I cut the high out from those so that I could get all the center pieces. And this is paper piecing all of those pieces back into the high on the card. And I did this for all 7 cards. This was a little bit tedious, and I will say this probably took me a good hour and a half or so to make all 7 cards. But they all turned out super cute, and everybody's was completely different, which is exactly what I wanted. With each of these cards, I built them with the card panel open and flat. It just made it easier to do the paper piecing rather than trying to deal with the card flapping up and down if it didn't lay flat. So I'll just give this a good score across the back, and this card is done. And now I'm going to show you all of the cards. And that concludes this video for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing these cards being made, and I'll see you in the next video.